I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I am your host, Daniel. You guys, tonight I got a cool guest. His name's Hunter. Right now he's currently in South Dakota. And this is one of these encounters that he just emailed me out of the blue. And I love hearing these. These are fantastic stories. We're going into Skinwalkers, little people, UFOs, and the big guy, Bigfoot himself. But before I bring Hunter on, I just want to say again, thank you for all of the support you guys show the channel. I do have a membership, $2.99, and that gets you early access to a Saturday release show. So without further ado, guys, let's bring on Hunter. Hunter, what's up, bud?
Not a whole lot. How's it going, Dan?
It's going good, man. So you sent me an email, a super long email, and I read a little bit of it. And I have to tell you, I'm one of those guys that like to hear things for the first time. So I stopped reading everything. And so we had a little pre-interview. And so, yeah, the gambit, going back as far as 2010, all the way up until you are going to tell a story or an account that your buddy had last night. So why don't we just go ahead and get into whatever story you want to get into?
All right. I guess let's start with the earliest one, which would be my encounter of the little people. And this happened in my hometown of, well, actually, I probably shouldn't say so people don't go and mess with them.
Yeah, you can go say like county.
But this happened in Rogers County of Oklahoma.
Okay.
And my family owns quite a bit of property out there, and I grew up on that property. Well, every morning I'd have to get up about 5 o'clock in the morning to walk down to the bus stop, which is a quarter mile from my house. And the very first encounter was little kids laughing, just, I'd say 25 feet from me. And it was like that for the first week, and then it started with the laughing and then moving of a bush that was just right off the end of my driveway. And from there, it just continued to do that until one day they got really, really bold and walked up and started messing with one of my animals.
One of your what?
Which I had one of my animals. I had a pet cat that followed me down to the bus stop every morning. And one morning they went up and they started messing with him. And of course, one of their signature traits is they'll show themselves to you if they want to see, or they want you to see them.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I'm not one of the ones that could see him, but my buddy, his encounter last night, he got home from work about 3 o'clock in the morning, and he lived about a mile from where I lived. And he hears the little kids laughing like I did. But there's this little glowing orb just out in the tree line off the edge of his property. And from there, he went to follow it, but he only got about 50 feet in there before he lost it. And then he heard little footsteps around him. And from there, he got spooked and he ran back inside. Which I do not blame him.
I don't blame him either. Is there any way to like stabilize your phone, kind of like rest it up against something, or?
I got you.
Yeah, because
does that work?
That's perfect, dude. That is perfect. So have you ever seen one?
Me personally, no. I don't believe they wanted to show themselves to me, which I'm Cherokee, and in my tribe, we believe they're guardians of Mother Earth and the forest.
Okay.
So I believe they were just trying to tease me and scare me a little because I was a little kid at that age, and that's when they tend to mess with people.
Yeah.
To whereas my friend, I think they might have been trying to do something a little more serious with him.
Really?
Because it can be mischief.
Well, why would you say that?
To me, the story sounded like they were trying to lead him into the forest and then mess with him a little bit, somewhere just off where nobody would see him.
So what would they do?
When he said, what would they do? They could cause major illnesses, like I said, they're mischief makers. They'll poke at you, prick at you, throw stuff at you. Like I said, they'll move bushes. I've even had them throw sticks.
Really?
Which, I mean, there's no, me personally not seeing them. I'd say they're probably, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". I'd say they probably come up to the middle of my shin.
Oh, okay.
They're not very big at all, which is shocking. Well, I shouldn't say shocking for the name little people.
Right. Well, you being native, I mean, it's part of your history. It's part of your lore,
Yes.
So,
Which
okay.
I wasn't fortunate enough to attend Cherokee school, but I do know a little bit about the myth and the legend.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. So after that happened, it looks like if we're looking at the timeline that you gave me, in 2012 is when you saw the big guy.
Yes, sir. I would.
And where were you
My
at?
bad, Dan.
What was going on? No, you're good. You're good, man.
I was in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, off of some property that one of our family friends let us hunt up there. And Tahlequah is the actually where the Cherokee Nation is based, which is, it might be coincidence. I have no idea, but basically, I was out there on a hunting trip with my grandpa, my uncle, and a couple of their friends. And one night, we were all asleep. I woke up to go to the bathroom, and we had to go outside of our camper to go to the bathroom because we're out in the middle of the woods. And something started tapping on the side of the bathroom. Come out, nothing's there. Looking around, nothing's there. I stir the fire a little bit, go back inside, and then it starts tapping on the side of our camper. Walked outside, couldn't see anything. I wouldn't leave the camper because I'm about 12 years old at this point, and I'm terrified of the dark.
Yeah.
Based on my experiences. And I sat there and I sat up for about 3 hours, and it just continued, and then it slightly moved further away, and that's when the wood knocks began. And from there, it was just three. It stopped for about 10 minutes, three more. And of course, at this time, I didn't know anything or what was going on. And this is, I was freaking out. I just decided to roll over, go to sleep. I was not having it. I've seen enough Scooby-Doo to know not to investigate.
So, one second here. So, when you woke up the next morning, did you get up and look to see if you saw anything around the camper, I'm sure it was an outhouse that you went to?
Yeah. It was an outhouse. And yeah, I did get up to look around, and this is middle of winter deer season in Oklahoma, and this is one of the only spots that we do get snow. But for some reason, there was no snow around the area, which I'm assuming it probably melted from the fire heat because it wasn't very far off of the fire, but the leaves were disturbed. I'd seen crushed leaves and footprints.
Okay.
And about that time, my uncle asked me what I was looking for, and I explained to him what happened. And that's when he said, "Oh, you encountered a wood booger."
Oh, so he came right out and said that's what it was.
Yes, he's from deep Arkansas, Paragould, Arkansas, to be exact.
Okay. So he's probably had encounters or what?
I'm assuming so. He's got to be in his 70s now, and he's still kicking it. I'll have to ask him when I'm down there next.
Yeah. Absolutely. So from seeing or having an encounter with Bigfoot, that takes us to 2013, and you had, now was it a sighting of a UFO?
Yes, it was. Matter of fact, I went back, we were back out on that same property where I encountered the little people. And it's out, I'd say about 10 miles from town, so nobody's around. And I'm out in the middle of the pasture walking to go feed the horses. And about that time I look up, there's this bright light, and I'd say it was about the size of a $50. from the distance it was from me, and it sat there and it started to flicker. It didn't move, and then it stopped. It went real bright and started zigzagging back and forth. And from there, it did the strobe pattern again, and I no sooner than I blinked, it was gone.
Really? Did
Yes.
it ever get closer, get bigger, or just stayed that size?
It
From-
stayed that size, but the pattern changed up. It went from slow to fast.
And then you literally just in a blink of an eye, it was just gone.
It was gone. And of course, I'm too young at that point, at that age, to actually own a phone, so I couldn't get video.
Yeah. No, I get that. So what did you think it was?
I thought it was a UFO.
Okay.
I've always believed we were never alone. I've been fascinated with UFOs since I was as far back as I can remember.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So that takes us to 2019. Now, this is what really caught my attention was this encounter. So I want you to take your time telling this encounter.
This
Like,
one,
yeah, this one's kind of crazy.
this one's probably the scariest one I've ever had. And I know you don't do paranormal, but that's what we were out doing. Because in my hometown, we have this little thing called Crybaby Bridge. So we were going to see a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
It was me, my little brother, two of my friends, and then my girlfriend as well. Well, ex-girlfriend, I should say. And we go out there, and my buddies, we had to park about a quarter mile from the bridge because it's on a condemned road. There was a hillside years ago, so the bridge got condemned, so did the road. It's blocked off both ways. So we had to park about a quarter mile from it, and as we're taking this quarter mile walk, there's a little roundabout that circles back to the bridge and brings you back to the original road. And as we come up on this roundabout, we look down with our flashlights, and there's a raccoon laying there dead, freshly mutilated. Like, you can still see the steam coming off of it.
Really?
And of course, my gut instinct was turn back, and friends being friends, they're harassing and whatnot. So I continue to push forward with them. We get to the bridge, and my buddy thinks he sees something down in the river. And this is the Arkansas River, which connects to Mississippi. So we'd all dim our lights so we can look. And when we bring our lights back up, at the other end of the bridge is this figure. I'd say it's about 9 foot tall. It wasn't inhuman skin. It had, I'd say, fur about the color of a white-tailed deer, but it had the head of a bison. Not like the actual head, the skull of a bison. Which, I don't know if that was its true form or what, because these things are shapeshifters.
Okay.
And they're not really good luck. And we sat there, we looked at it for about 30 seconds. So I was like, what the heck is that? And no sooner than that, something came across my head telling me to leave. We need to run. I grabbed my brother, my girlfriend, and I told my friends, let's go. We took off running. And about this time, I was 300 pounds. And I made that quarter-mile run in less than a minute.
Well, not literally a minute, but I can understand you were moving.
Yeah, I was moving. I made it to the car before anybody else. And ever since then, like, I will not go back to that spot, but I do believe that skinwalkers do follow.
Okay, so let me ask you this question real quick. So you guys you see the dead raccoon. One of your buddies says,
Yeah.
"Hey, I think I see something down there." So you guys kind of flashlight it. You can't really see what it is. You dim your flashlights. What compelled you to look from the river to the other end of the bridge?
I felt like I was being watched. And being through all the experiences I've been through, I know what it feels like to be watched. It's not a very good feeling, and I could just feel it deep down in my bones. Which before that visit, we ended up taking one of my other friends who's a medium out there, and she actually got attacked by something.
So, who out of your group of 5 people, who was the first person to notice this figure standing on the other side of the bridge?
I was the closest to it, so I would say I'm the one that pointed the light down there first, and I said, "Guys, what the heck is that?" I didn't use that nice of a term, but
So were you guys out on the bridge when you saw it?
yes.
Oh, okay. I was under the assumption that you were on one end of the bridge and this thing was on the other end of the bridge. So about how close to you or were you to it?
15, 20 feet.
No kidding. Holy smokes. And you said about 30 seconds you had a visual on it. And then you guys all just turned around and bolted.
Yeah, I basically, it was like a gut feeling just telling me to run. I grabbed him and I said, "Run," which was probably the best thing we could have done because there's no telling what that thing could have done.
Now, did it make an attempt to move towards you guys or was it just still standing there?
So when we first put the lights on it, it had its head down, and then it kind of tilted it to the right,
Not
kind of
good.
like a curiosity look. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Yep, that's time to go."
And did it make a noise or anything like that?
Not that I can recall.
So you
My
didn't hear
focus was getting out of there.
you didn't hear anything like at any time.
I have heard that, but I did not hear it in that situation.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, I believe these things follow me, and there's a reason I'm in the state I'm in now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're in South Dakota now, and yeah, South Dakota has a deep, deep, deep history, not only with cryptids but also paranormal. So, I mean, look at the Black Hills. Very, very spooky.
I've had some experiences in the Black Hills myself. I've lived up here from 2000, I'd say, yeah, 2013 to, oh no, I've had 3 UFO encounters because I had one in the Black Hills as well.
Well, then we need to hear those next.
So that first one happened, and then the second one happened shortly after we moved to the Black Hills. It was me, my stepdad, and his buddy, and we were out duck hunting on Lake Pactola up towards Rapid City.
Mm-hmm.
And they're up below the dam, and I'm down below the creek, and I just see this light come up over the hill, sit there, pulsate, come down, come back up, which at first I thought it was a helicopter because Ellsworth Air Force Base isn't very far. And it came back up, and then it started moving from left to right, and it started doing the pulsating movement. And from there, it went from a bright light to almost a dark red.
Really?
And then it was gone.
Did you see it move or just faded out?
It almost faded out.
Interesting.
It's like I knew I was watching and it didn't want to stop.
And then what was the third encounter that you had?
Third encounter was with my mom, and that was in 2021 back in Oklahoma. I was working as a barback for one of the casinos around there, and she picked me up from work, and we were driving back, and she's like, "What is that on the horizon?" It's this, I'd say, almost a flame orange orb just hovering. She's like, "Oh, that's the moon. That's the moon, isn't it?" I was like, "Mom, no, the moon's behind us. We could see it in the rear view of our car." And that area where it was at was actually where my grandmother had her experience.
Really?
And hers happened in 87.
And what did she describe as seeing?
So right where that UFO was at, or where I spotted it, it was over a port called Port 33, right there off the Arkansas, and there's a bridge that goes over it. She was driving over this bridge, and this light came over, and it was like she stopped at time. She said it took about 5 minutes before she realized where she was at, and she was on the other side of the bridge.
Really? How long is this bridge?
This bridge, I'd
Well,
say probably 200 yards.
Yeah, so here's a better question. In a moving vehicle, does it take 5 minutes to go from one side of the bridge to the other?
No, I'd say it takes roughly 45 seconds to a minute, depending on the speed you're going, because the speeds on the highway, I think, are 65.
Yeah. And she said it's like 5 minutes later, she realizes now she's on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, and
Really?
when she got home, she actually called the cops, and the cops told her to keep her mouth shut.
What?
The Inola police told her to keep her mouth shut, and then the next day, she proceeded to have a squad car, I believe, follow her to work. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I know she said that she called the police. They told her to keep her mouth shut, and she did spot a cop following her out of town, or at least she thought he was.
It's not the first thing or the first time that you've heard things like that. People go to report something, they're told to keep their mouth quiet, be quiet about it, or they say something and somehow it gets out. Next thing you know, you got someone knocking on your door, wanting to talk to you about, they're making up some reason to come over, and then they're going to start talking to you, or you'll have unmarked vans, unmarked vehicles sitting outside your house or your place of business. That's crazy. But just the fact that, let's go back to yours and your mom's encounter with the UFO. You see this, you see it like a burning orange sphere up ahead of you guys on the horizon. How long did you guys see it? How big was it? Did you see it move off, or was it just stationary?
It was just stationary. We had eyes on it. It's about 10 miles out to where we were living at that point in time. And we had eyes on it for 3/4 of the ride home.
And what direction were you traveling?
We were traveling east.
All right. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So you're traveling east and you see this basically a ball of fire.
Right. And this is about 3 o'clock in the morning, so the sun should be nowhere close to rising.
Oh, okay. So I didn't realize that it was 3 a.m. And
Yes.
so how bright did it light up the sky?
It lit up bright enough to where we could see the tops of the trees.
Now, have you heard anybody else report seeing that?
I haven't heard anybody else myself, but I do know I've had people within the past few weeks spot stuff out there that they're unsure of. Which
Really?
one of them they sent me a video of, and I was able to debunk it was Starlink satellites.
Yep. I saw that like last year. It freaked me out. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, stopped on the side of the road, taking pictures of it, and sent it to my wife. My wife goes, "You're a dummy." She goes, "You heard of Starlink?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "That's the satellites." I go, "What?" I go, "They're moving." She goes, "That's what satellites do." I'm like, "Yeah, I know that." When you've never seen something like that before,
My first time I seen him, I was dumbfounded. I thought I was witnessing the alien invasion.
So did I. I was like, "What? This is amazing," But I mean, it is what it is. So let's go down the line of the stuff that we've talked about. So you being part native, it's in your folklore with little people, and I know Bigfoot, Sasquatch. So let me
Yes.
ask you, what do you think the little people are?
I believe what the folklore says they are. I believe they're the guardians of Mother Earth, and they're here to stop us from damaging it too far beyond repair. I
Do you
believe
think
all they're trying to do is stop us from damaging something that doesn't need to be damaged.
right? Do you think that they're a physical entity, or do you think they have some type of supernatural powers?
They most definitely have supernatural powers. For one, they have the ability to choose invisibility. They stay invisible. Like they can enter your house and mess with stuff if they really wanted to, if you got on their bad side.
Hmm.
And they can they can show themselves to you. They stay invisible most of the time, but they can be healers. They can be anything from a healer to your worst nightmare. It just
Yeah,
depends on if you're on their good side or their bad side.
yeah, I believe that. I truly believe that. What do you think Bigfoot is?
Bigfoot, I think he's flesh and blood. I think he's something flesh and blood. I don't think we can harm him as humans. I don't think we got the power to do that, but I do believe he's flesh and blood.
You said you don't believe that we have the power to harm him?
Well, I mean, we probably could if we hit him with like a missile or something big like that, but a
Yeah.
normal handgun, something like that, I don't think it's going to harm him.
You think there's more, but they potentially have a supernatural ability with them as well?
I definitely believe they do.
Yeah. Well, if you watch my latest drop with Ron Moorhead, I mean, when I talked with him,
I listened to it on Spotify today, but I'm going to have to watch it tonight.
he definitely opened my eyes to a whole new, you know, I guess you could say branch of this whole cryptid world, and when he was talking on and off camera, it made sense. It really did. So, um, Skinwalkers, I think everybody agrees on Skinwalkers. We really do. Now this is the first time I've ever heard a description like you did. So you said it was roughly 9 feet tall. Could be, could not be. Again, I wasn't there. I'm not debunking you. You said
Right.
the color of hair on its body, kind of like a white-tailed deer, and then the skull of a buffalo. So did it have the horns and everything on it?
Yes, it had the horns coming out the top of the head, and then it had a long nose with the spike coming out the front, like a buffalo would have.
Yeah. No, man, that is crazy. That's crazy.
Which,
I mean,
like I said, they're shapeshifters, so they're gonna play with you.
I kind of want to see something like that, but again, I don't.
I have a photo. I'll email you of something that I found digging in my family archives.
Yeah, you need to send that to me as soon as possible. Yeah,
I definitely will.
that would be cool. I'll take a look at that for sure. Um, so
Which there is one that looks similar to what I seen in there.
really, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, send away. You got my email address. So let me ask you: Are you planning? Because you said you're planning on going back down to Arkansas. Are you planning
Or
on?
Oklahoma.
Oh, sorry, Oklahoma. Are you planning on to go look for that skinwalker?
I am. I want to go back and at least get footage of the area I was in because if you just see it in the daytime, it's creepy. It's
Really?
just straight creepy.
Now, are you going to go down to the river as well and try to look around there?
I plan on. I'm not gonna go down to the bank of the river. I'll walk onto the bridge and whatnot itself. But if I get close to that water, who knows what'll happen?
Yeah. No, I believe you, man. Like for real. Hey, again, thank you so much, for and some of your ghost encounters, you didn't really get into them, but I find them intriguing. But there's a promise that I made that, I won't introduce new paranormal stories and stuff into my realm of you know of here. So and it's
I completely understand.
I mean, when I had another podcast called The Paranormal Narrative, and it was doing okay until I got some a series of emails that went from, hey, we'd like to come on your show, to, hey, we want to talk about this, to, hey, you need to get us on your show as soon as possible, to, listen, we have a message we need to share, and you need to let us on your show. And I just said, no, I unwanted attention. So I just deleted everything. So
I don't blame you there.
I don't mind
When it
talking
comes
about,
to the paranormal,
yeah,
I don't even mess with the paranormal.
well, I mean, I've had some pretty crazy encounters in my life, and I've told people some of them, but when it gets too crazy, I'm like, yeah, I don't want no part of it. So
That's kind of how it's happened with me. Like I've had
Yeah.
them happen to me, fine and dandy, but I'm not gonna go out and disturb these things, whatever they are.
yeah, there's no reason to kick dust up around these things, not at all. So,
No,
well, Hunter, do you have anything else?
I do not. I want to say thank you, and thank you for your service, Dan.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. It was a pleasure serving, and it was about 5 years of my life, and it was. I mean, I still remember when I took my oath. I still remember when I went to basic training, tech school, my first base, my last base. I had a great time, and I'd do it all over again without a second thought, man.
I was going into the military, and then they found out I had scoliosis. And they're like, it's best not if you don't.
Yep. Hey, sometimes that's not what's in God's plan for us. So,
You're absolutely right there.
all right, bud. Well, hey, you want to hang out in the lobby for me for a couple minutes? I'm going to go ahead and close out the show, and we'll chat a little bit more. Okay.
I got you.
All right. Well, you guys, today that is our show, or I should say, that's our show for today. But guys, again, thank you so much for coming, showing all the support you have. Hunter, again, thanks for coming on the show and sharing your encounters. There's such a huge, library or encyclopedia of what these cryptids. You list all these cryptids. What are they? Are it folklore? Are they a fable? Or are they real? And again, I can't say yes or no when someone comes to me and say, hey, I saw this or I encountered this, because I wasn't there. Just because I didn't see it doesn't mean that it's not real. It doesn't mean that these people haven't encountered it themselves. You can go around and ask 1,000 people, have you ever seen a giraffe in the wild? And I'm pretty sure that a lot of those people are going to tell you, no, I've never seen a giraffe in the wild, but that doesn't mean giraffes don't exist. So with that being said, you guys, if you've had an encounter you'd like to come on the show, please email me at the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. Again, that's the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. As my buddy Josh always says, from Mysteries Unknown, you guys stay prayed up. And as I always like to say, remember, a legend always begins with a sighting. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?